So today I want to talk about why I left self-help. Yes, I got into self-help around 2012 and I left it around 2016. And here's why. Here's the thing about self-help. First thing you should know, it's a multi-billion dollar industry. This is not therapy at all. The thing about self-help is once you get in, you are addicted. You keep consuming stuff. You just read one book, okay? You just read one book, done. No, at the end of the book, there's bunch of other things. There's probably a website. There's some additional information about the courses that the author is offering. There are other books. There are one-on-one personal coaching. Then there's seminars. Then there are DVDs about seminars. Right? It keeps going, and that's just one author, and they are going to recommend, or someone somewhere is going to recommend another author, and that author has a bunch of those things that I mentioned. So it's just consuming, and taps into your information bias, where you keep consuming information about an action you want to take rather than actually taking the action. This one was big for me. The thing about information bias and the self-help industry, right? I just kept consuming. I didn't take much action. Now you can blame that largely on me, but there's some blame that you can put on self-help industry because it's never enough. There's no one book that you go, okay, you read this book, you take this action. It's just simple, and you're done. You don't need to spend your money. You can spend your time and energy pursuing something you want, taking action, rather than spending time and energy on consuming that self-help material. That's the biggest one. Number two is selling dreams and toxic positivity, I guess you can call it. With self-help is, yeah, if you do this, you do this thing, if you do bunch of other things, you're going to be richer. You're going to have fulfilling relationships. You're going to have time to pursue your hobbies. You're being sold bunch of dreams that most likely are not going to manifest into reality. Doesn't matter how hard you try. Doesn't matter what you do. They are dreams. They're utopia. They're not going to manifest into reality. Toxic positivity is this part of selling dreams where you're always happy, you're always energetic, you're always excited. On an average, you definitely want to experience more positive emotions than negative emotions. That is true, but you're not going to experience positive emotions all the time. That's impossible, and somehow a lot of people fall for that. They think, yeah, you do these things, you're going to be positive all the time. No, your level of positivity will somewhat improve, but no. And you will even try, a lot of even people, they try to put on a positive face, they try to be optimistic, they try to keep a smile, try to be cheerful. Somewhat, well, sometimes that is helpful. You want to motivate yourself. Sometimes you're not just feeling good enough, you want to motivate yourself, but you're not going to experience positivity all the fucking time. Okay, you're just not. The third thing is, you're always a broken mess. You're always empty in self-help, and you have to keep fixing yourself. One thing doesn't work, you have to try another thing. You have to try another thing, And in those bunch of things, there's there are many methods that, okay, one method doesn't work, you have to try. How do you think most people are? Are they perfect? Look at any successful person. Are they perfect? No. Then why you should be? No, you shouldn't be. But self-help will directly or indirectly will keep you like a work in progress, rather than accepting the fact that there's nothing wrong with you. Probably there's there's only small percentage of you that have something messed up happen to them. And if you're one of the small percentages, you should seek out a therapist. There's no other way to help you. You should seek out a therapist. If you have had some PTSD, if you have had experienced trauma, some abuse, childhood abuse, go seek a therapist. But for most of us, what we really need is lifestyle change, not some fixing yourself or whatever nonsense, not some like affirmations, or not some like, yeah, no, no. What you really need, what most of us really need when you go into self help, is lifestyle change. And what you need to do is get out of the the self help industry, sort of, and shift your focus to lifestyle change. Some of the self help stuff really helps. For example, productivity stuff. You want to be more productive no matter what you do. If you want to be successful, you have to be more productive. And there's nothing wrong with learning about productivity. You also have to probably learn about finance and investing. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with learning new things about your body and how to be much more healthy, how to be fit. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're trying to fix yourself, rather than, hey, there's nothing wrong with it, I have to fix my lifestyle by replacing bad habits with good habits. And that kind of attitude towards self-help is absolutely essential. But then there are others like who focus on mindset, who focus on techniques and like rituals. Hey, no. Stay away from that. Learn bunch of new things like productivity stuff, finance stuff, health stuff. Definitely those will help. But generally speaking, you want to get out, and you have to take a lot of action to implement those changes, rather than just keeping those reading those like self-help material. Keep reading. No, don't do that. Don't keep consuming the self-help stuff. Just implement those changes, even in fitness and lifestyle, like productivity stuff. Don't There are a lot of productivity gurus who give advice on productivity, but their whole life is about giving productivity advice. They're not doing much else. That's like, hey, you're a productivity guru, right? Okay, yeah. What do you do? Yeah, I sell courses, I have a website, I have a YouTube channel, whatever. I have social media presence. Okay, how else are you being productive? I teach people how to be productive. What? Do you have any prior experience? Yeah, I worked in like 9 to 5 job. No, just don't fall into this trap of information bias. Spend a lot more time taking action rather than consuming information about what kind of actions do you want to take. And realize that you're human. You're always going to be imperfect. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter like how many affirmations you recite in the morning. Doesn't matter how how much time you spend visualizing nonsense. Doesn't matter what kind of things you write on your like diary or whatever. You're not going to be perfect. And whatever time you want to spend, you have some free time, it's okay to learn about life in general. Not just Don't just limit yourself to self help. Spend some time reading about philosophy, spend some time reading about literature, spend some time reading about history, spend some time reading about psychology. Those things will help you in some form or another. Like learn about Greek philosophy, learn about Buddhist philosophy, learn about Confucius philosophy, study various religions. You don't have to practice them, but you can just read those books, read the holy books of various religions, and see what is there in your free time. But spend most of your time on designing the kind of lifestyle that you want. Design the life you want. Don't spend your time about, if it's not going to help you, if it's going to waste your time, don't do it. All right. Again, learning about life is a hobby of mine, I guess you can say. I guess it's a passion of mine. I'm very, very passionate about education, and I like to learn about life. I like to learn about literature. I like to learn about philosophy. I like to learn about history. I like to learn about psychology. I like to learn about biology. I like to learn about physics. Maths, I fucking hate. Maths can go fuck itself, right? I like to learn about technology. I like to learn about fashion. I like to learn about current affairs. But it's just a passion of mine. It's not necessary. Do what you want, design the life you want, go for it. Just go for it. Don't waste your time on the self help. And people who are still convinced about this dream life that self help has told you, here's the reality check. Suffering is fact of life. Suffering is not going to go away. It will change forms merely. A lot of people, they have legitimate financial anxieties. You don't want to go homeless, you want to pay your bills, you want to live a comfortable life. Great. You're going to suffer. But even people who are financially stable, right? Those people, they're not happy. Most of them anyway. They have issues. They have relationship issues, they have energy issues, they're suffering from stress. Even they are worried about finances in different ways. A lot of like poor and middle class people, they're worried about how can I manage my monthly expenses, how can I save something for the future, right? What do rich people have? What do rich people have in about their finance? What worries rich people have about their money? Well, trying to hide their income from the government is probably number one. They want to they want to pay lower taxes. They want to exploit as many tax loopholes as possible. They're concerned about the stock market, the stock price, the stocks they have invested in, the companies that they have invested in. They're concerned about that. Admittedly, many of you, even I, would like to be concerned about the stock market rather than how can I put food on the table. But the financial concerns, they're not going to go away. They are going to change forms. That's just one part of life. Relationships are major another part of life that most people are not going to figure out. You're not going to have perfect life. You're not going to be happy. How many rich people, they get addicted to drugs? How many successful people, they get addicted to drugs? Why is that? They want to escape their suffering, like most of us, instead of facing the reality and trying to change their life, trying to change parts of their life, or rather their entire life that they are not happy about. They choose to go with drugs. Imagine you just one of the few people, like one in millions, works on really hard on their dreams and actually succeeds in achieving their dreams, and you're still miserable. You have your yacht or you have your private island, or you have everything, but you're still miserable. There are a lot of rich people like that. You just have to dig a little deeper, and they are fucking miserable just as you are. Rich people are just as miserable as you are. So, suffering is a permanent fact of life, it only changes forms. So, we deal with suffering in many ways. A lot of people they seek out physical comfort. They don't want to be homeless. They don't want to face starvation. I don't want to be homeless. I don't want to face starvation either. I'm not I'm not different like that. Okay? So they think that if they earn enough money, if they are living comfortable life, the suffering will go away. They will live a happy life. Study hard and work really hard, and you get your dream job, and you're going to have quite a good amount of, you're going to make a lot of money, and you'll live a happy life, happy ending, right? And then you'll get married and have kids, and you'll live happy comfortable life. Yeah, but people who have that, they're fucking miserable. Most of them are just really really miserable. So physical comfort will not will not make your suffering go away. And a lot of people try to indulge to avoid their suffering. This is the one I talked about. Like they do drugs. That physical comfort is part of the avoidance category of suffering. Drugs are another part. Continuously daydreaming is another part. People just they do their things like they're doing on the computer or whatever, but they're daydreaming. They're in completely in different world in their heads. They are not ready to face suffering head on. They avoid it. Then there are other type of people. They are called idealists or utopians. What they do is they try to eliminate suffering from the world, and sometimes they succeed in reducing suffering in the world. Think about think about the most influential figures in history. Who are they? Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, all the other prophets, right? Throughout the history, those are the like top tier people who have tried to eliminate suffering. Think about like other utopians like communists, for example. Think about people who are trying to make world a better place through technology. None of them are going to succeed in eliminating suffering, but they will definitely succeed in reducing some forms of suffering. Compare the industrialized world to world before industrialization. Our world is definitely a lot better. A standard of living is definitely a lot higher. But suffering has changed forms from physical suffering to emotional suffering. And that's the thing about utopians. They keep trying. They will keep trying, and they will reduce forms of suffering, but they're not going to eliminate suffering outright. Then then there are acceptance type people. Acceptance, they're like, I talked about Buddha, who tried to spread his message of acceptance of suffering and then tried to change the world through it. What is acceptance of suffering? You just accept it and you're trying to relax. You're working so hard on relaxing yourself, and you become enlightened. This is this is just extremely tough thing to do, to, to relax so much that your bodily desires, the world around you, doesn't affect your happiness because you have accepted suffering so much and you have relaxed yourself so much that even though there's suffering, it doesn't affect you the same level as as it affects other people. And part 4 is embracing suffering. What is embracing part of suffering? Is the existentialism. Suffering is a part of life and you're going to suffer. So suffer for something meaningful, something that is suffer for something that is meaningful to you rather than just meaningless suffering. That is embracing suffering. This is existentialism, this is stoicism. There are a bunch of philosophies out there where you have to embrace your suffering to deal with it rather than just avoiding it, rather than just trying to eliminate it. You just embrace it and you move with your life. You do what you want the limited time that you have. And suffering gives life meaning, and the purpose of our life is dealing with suffering. And we are going to suffer. That's the truth that self help will not tell you. They will try to sell your dreams, they will try to convince you that if you keep working on the self help material, you're going to be always happy, you're going to make a lot of money, you're going to have fulfilling relationships, you're going to be extremely energetic, you're going to wake up in your bed excited, you're going to try to avoid sleeping because you're just excited all the time about life, and you just hate sleeping. That's not going to happen. And sooner you realize that, the better your life I think it will be. Thank you so much for listening, and yeah, let me know what you think.